They thought the sedative would keep me quiet during the meeting. It didn't. I heard every word. Dr. Martinez, we need you to sign off on the diagnosis today. Early onset dementia. It's progressing rapidly. That was my daughter Linda's voice, crisp and businesslike, the same tone she used when closing deals at her real estate firm. I understand this is difficult, Mrs. Henderson, but I need to examine your mother first. These assessments take time. We don't have time, doctor. She's a danger to herself. Last week she left the stove on. She called me by my grandmother's name. She wandered outside at 3 a.m. looking for her classroom. She thinks she's still teaching. Every word was a lie. Every single word. The doctor's pen scratched against paper. I kept my eyes closed, my breathing steady, just as I'd been doing for the past 40 minutes since they'd given me what they said was something to help you relax. Mom, I learned long ago that people reveal their true selves when they think no one's watching. 32 years of teaching high school English had taught me that. I'd caught more cheaters by pretending to grade papers while watching their reflections in my classroom windows than I ever did by hovering over their desks. The paperwork for Meadowbrook Senior Living is ready, Linda continued. They have an immediate opening. We can move her this week. And the house? That was Brian, my son-in-law. His voice always had an edge, like he was constantly negotiating. Once Dr. Martinez signs the capacity evaluation, we can proceed with the sale. The buyers are eager. It's a seller's market. We should clear $3.2 million, maybe more. $3.2 million. My husband Thomas and I bought that house in 1983 for $89,000. We painted every room ourselves. He built the deck where we had coffee every Sunday morning. He died on that deck, in my arms, 3 years ago. The last thing he said to me was, "Don't let them take this from you, Dot. I know our kids. Don't let them." I thought he was being paranoid. Thomas always worried about money, about people's intentions. I was the optimist, the one who believed in the goodness of family, who thought love would always win. I was wrong. Thomas was right. What about Michael? Dr. Martinez asked. Your brother should be involved in these decisions? Michael's in Seattle. He's got his own family, his own problems. We're handling this. Linda's voice had that dismissive tone she used when she didn't want to be questioned. Mom gave us power of attorney last year. We're doing what's best for her. That power of attorney. Linda had brought the papers to me 6 months after Thomas died, when I was still deep in grief. Barely eating, barely sleeping. Just a precaution, Mom, she'd said. In case something happens, so we can help you manage things. I'd signed it. God help me, I'd signed it. The doctor sighed. I'll need to run some cognitive tests. Standard protocol. Of course, Linda said smoothly. Whatever you need. I felt the doctor's hand on my shoulder. Mrs. Patterson? Dorothy? Can you hear me? I let my eyes flutter open slowly, made my gaze unfocused. Thomas? Is it time for church? Linda made a small sound, something between a gasp and satisfaction. You see, Doctor? She thinks it's Sunday. She thinks my father's still alive. Dr. Martinez pulled a small flashlight from her pocket and shone it in my eyes. I didn't have to fake the tears that came. They were real, but they weren't from confusion. They were from rage. Pure, crystalline rage. I'm going to ask you some questions, Dorothy. Can you tell me what year it is? I let my mouth hang open slightly, looked past her shoulder at the wall. Is it? Are the children home from school? More pen scratching. Do you know where you are? This isn't my classroom. I made my voice quaver. Where are my students? I have essays to grade. The Fitzgerald unit is due Friday. I taught The Great Gatsby every year for 3 decades. I could recite whole passages from memory. The irony wasn't lost on me now, pretending to be confused about a book that was all about the American dream, corrupted by greed. Linda squeezed my hand. To anyone watching, it looked like comfort. I felt her fingers, cold and tight. It's okay, Mom. You're safe. We're going to take care of you. Dr. Martinez stood. I'll prepare the evaluation. But Mrs. Henderson, I want to be clear. Placing someone in memory care is a significant step. Once we start this process, my mother needs 24-hour supervision, doctor. We can't provide that. This is the humane choice. Humane. That word coming from Linda's mouth made me want to laugh or scream. After they left, a nurse came in to check my vitals. She was young, maybe 30, with kind eyes. Her name tag said Stephanie. "How are you feeling, Mrs. Patterson?" she asked gently. I looked at her clearly, met her eyes directly. Her hand paused on my wrist, where she was checking my pulse. "I'm feeling," I said quietly, enunciating each word, like I just heard my daughter lie to a doctor so she can sell my house and lock me away. Stephanie's eyes widened. "Mrs. Patterson, I need you to do something for me." I reached into my cardigan pocket, pulled out my phone. I'd tucked it there before Linda arrived, set it to record. "I need you to help me save this recording. And I need you to call my son Michael in Seattle. His number's in my contacts." She stared at the phone, then at me. You're not confused?" "No, sweetheart, I'm not. But my daughter thinks I am. And she's about to find out that her mother might be 68 years old. But she's not senile, and she's definitely not stupid." Stephanie glanced at the door, lowered her voice. "I could lose my job. I know. And I wouldn't ask if I had anyone else to trust right now. Please. I taught school for 32 years. I spent my whole life helping other people's children. Now my own child is trying to steal everything my husband and I worked for. And I need help." She looked at me for a long moment. Then she took the phone. "What do you need me to do?" 3 hours later, I was in my hospital bed. They'd admitted me for observation while the nursing home paperwork processed, when Michael burst through the door. "Mom?" He looked frantic, his hair disheveled. "Mom, are you okay?" The nurse called me. She said, "What the hell is going on?" I sat up, fully alert. "Close the door, sweetheart. We don't have much time." He did, then stood there staring at me like I'd risen from the dead. "Linda said you had dementia. She said you were declining rapidly. She said I needed to prepare myself. Linda," I said carefully, "is planning to have me declared mentally incompetent so she and Brian can sell my house, put me in a nursing home, and take the money. $3.2 million. Michael's face went white, then red. "What?" I showed him my phone, played the recording, watched his expression change from shock to disbelief to fury as he listened to his sister's voice, clinical and cold, describing how she was manipulating a doctor, fabricating symptoms, planning to dispose of me like I was an inconvenient piece of furniture. When it ended, he sat down heavily in the chair beside my bed. "Oh my God. Oh my God. Mom, I'm so sorry. I should have. I've been so busy with work, with the kids. I haven't called as much as I should have. If I'd known, you couldn't have known. I didn't know until today." I took his hand. "But now we do, and we're going to stop them. We're calling the police right now. This is fraud. This is—" "No," I squeezed his hand. "Not yet. If we go to the police now, it's her word against mine. She'll say I'm paranoid, that the recording proves I'm delusional. Doctor, Martinez already has notes saying I'm incompetent. We need more." "More what?" "More evidence. I need to document that I'm perfectly lucid. I need to catch them in the act. I need to show pattern and intent." I smiled slightly. I might not have practiced law, but I read enough legal thrillers to know we need an airtight case. Michael shook his head. "Mom, this is crazy. You can't—" "Can't what? Outsmart my own daughter?" "Michael, I taught advanced placement English for 15 years. I've dealt with cheaters, plagiarists, and manipulators who thought they were smarter than me. Linda might work in real estate, but I wrote the recommendation letter that got her into college. I know how she thinks." He laughed despite himself, but it was shaky. "What do you need me to do?" Over the next hour, we made our plan. Michael would return to Seattle, act like he knew nothing. He'd be the concerned son, calling to check in, staying just distant enough that Linda wouldn't suspect. Meanwhile, I would play along with the dementia diagnosis. I would be transferred to Meadowbrook Senior Living. I would act confused, compliant, helpless, and I would document everything. Stephanie helped me acquire a small voice recorder, the kind that looks like a pen. "My cousin works in private investigation," she whispered when she slipped it to me. "He says these are legal in Oregon as long as one party, that's you, consents to the recording." "Thank you," I said. "Thank you for believing me. My grandmother had Alzheimer's," she said quietly. "Real Alzheimer's. I watched it destroy her, watched her forget everyone she loved. What your daughter's doing, claiming that disease when it's not true. It's evil." The transfer to Meadowbrook happened on a Tuesday. Linda and Brian came with a suitcase they'd packed for me. I watched Linda go through my closet at the house, selecting clothes like she was styling a doll. She left behind the cashmere sweater Thomas gave me on our 40th anniversary. She left behind my favorite reading chair. She took practical things, easy care fabrics, nothing with buttons. "We'll put the house on the market next week," she told Brian as they loaded my suitcase into their Range Rover. I was sitting in the back seat, staring out the window, my recorder pen in my pocket. I've already had it appraised. We should get multiple offers. What about her stuff? The furniture? Estate sale. There's a company that handles everything. We'll keep a few pieces for sentimental value, sell the rest. Sentimental value. The dining table where we hosted Thanksgiving for 30 years. The piano I learned to play hymns on. The bookshelf Thomas built by hand. All of it reduced to sentimental value or trash. Meadowbrook Senior Living was nice enough, as prisons go. Clean floors, cheerful staff, activities scheduled every hour like we were kindergartners. Bingo, chair yoga, sing-alongs. My roommate was a woman named Pearl, who actually did have dementia. She called me Margaret and thought we were in a hotel. Sometimes she cried for her mother. The staff was kind to her, patient. I watched how they worked, how they documented everything in their charts, how they followed protocols. I learned quickly that institutions run on paperwork. Everything had to be noted, signed, filed. Every medication, every meal, every behavioral incident. So I gave them incidents. On my third day, I wandered into the wrong wing, looking for my classroom. The staff member who found me wrote it up. I made sure to say confused things, to ask about students who didn't exist, to seem disoriented about the year. On my fifth day, I had what they called a lucid moment during an activity. We were doing a memory exercise, looking at old photographs. I picked up a picture of a 1,950 seconds classroom and started talking about teaching methods, about how education had changed, about my years in the classroom. I spoke clearly, intelligently, with perfect recall of dates and details. The activity coordinator made notes. Patient shows occasional clarity, possible sundowning pattern. Recommend continued observation. Perfect. I was building my defense. When this went to court, and it would go to court, I needed to show that I'd been aware the whole time, that I had moments of clarity, that the diagnosis was wrong, but I also needed to catch them in something bigger than just lying to a doctor. That opportunity came on a Saturday afternoon, 2 weeks into my stay at Meadowbrook. Linda visited every few days, always timing it for the afternoon when I was supposedly most confused. She'd sit with me for 30 minutes, hold my hand, talk about nothing important, playing the dutiful daughter for the staff. This visit was different. Brian came with her. "Mom, we need to talk to you about something," Linda said, pulling a chair close to my bed. I was sitting in the chair by the window, looking out at the garden, my recorder pen clipped to my cardigan pocket. "Is it time for dinner?" I asked vaguely. "No, Mom. Listen, we need you to sign some papers." She pulled out a folder, opened it on my lap. I looked down at the documents with unfocused eyes, but I was reading every word. It was a quit-claim deed, transferring my house to Linda and Brian. The lawyer said, "We need your signature," Brian explained slowly, like he was talking to a child, "to make everything official. so we can take care of the house for you. Take care." I let my voice trail off. "That's right. We're selling it, remember? So we can pay for your care here. You like it here, don't you?" I nodded slowly, reached for the pen they offered. Then I stopped, looked at Linda. For just a moment, I let my mask slip. Let her see me, really see me. "You want me to sign away my house," I said clearly. Linda's smile froze. "Mom, you're not. We talked about this. You agreed." "Did I?" I set the pen down. "Or did you tell Dr. Martinez I agreed?" "There's a difference, Linda." The room got very quiet. Brian leaned forward. "Mrs. Patterson, you're confused. We're trying to help you." "I'm not confused, Brian. I'm actually remarkably clear-headed." I stood up, and something in my posture made them both take a step back. "I know exactly what you're doing. I've known since the day you drugged me and lied to that doctor. I've known since you fabricated symptoms and forged records. I've known since you decided your mother was worth more to you as a bank account than as a person." Linda's face went from pale to red. "Mom, you're not well. You're having one of your paranoid episodes. The staff warned us about this." "Did they?" I pulled the recorder pen from my pocket, held it up. "Did they also warn you that Oregon is a one-party consent state? That means I can record our conversations without telling you, like I'm doing right now, like I did in Dr. Martinez's office, like I've been doing for 2 weeks." I watched my daughter's face crumble, watched her realize what I'd done. "You've been faking," Brian said slowly. "This whole time, no. You've been faking. Faking concern, faking love, faking a diagnosis to steal from me." I moved to the door, opened it. 2 staff members were standing just outside. I'd asked them to wait there, told them I might need help if my visitors became aggressive. "I think it's time for you to leave." Linda grabbed my arm. "Mom, please, you don't understand. The house is too much for you. We're doing this for the $3.2 million. I heard you, Linda. I heard every word." She let go like I'd burned her. "Get out," I said quietly, "and tell your lawyer I'll be getting my own. A good one. The kind who specializes in elder abuse and financial exploitation." They left. Linda was crying, but I couldn't tell if it was from shame or from being caught. Brian just looked angry, like a gambler who'd bet everything on a bad hand. After they were gone, I sat back down in my chair and shook. Not from fear, from the aftermath of adrenaline, from the weight of what I'd just done. A staff member knocked softly. "Mrs. Patterson? Are you all right?" "I'm fine, thank you. Actually, I'd like to speak with the director. I need to arrange my discharge. It turns out I don't need memory care after all." The next weeks were a blur of lawyers and depositions and phone calls. Michael flew down from Seattle. My attorney, a sharp woman named Rebecca Chen who specialized in elder law, reviewed every recording, every document, every piece of evidence I'd gathered. "This is one of the clearest cases of attempted financial exploitation I've seen," Rebecca told me in her office. "The recordings alone are damning. The forged medical history, the fraudulent capacity evaluation, the attempted deed transfer while you were supposedly incompetent. Mrs. Patterson, your daughter could face criminal charges." "I don't want her in jail," I said quietly. "I want my life back. I want my house. I want her out of my financial affairs forever." Rebecca nodded. "We can do that. But she needs to face consequences." The legal battle took 4 months. Dr. Martinez, when presented with the evidence, was horrified. She filed a complaint against herself with the medical board for failing to properly evaluate me, though Rebecca and I both testified that she'd been misled. The complaint was dismissed, but the doctor sent me a letter apologizing for not being more thorough. Linda and Brian's lawyer tried to argue that I was manipulative, that I'd orchestrated the whole thing, that my lucidity was proof of mental instability. Rebecca destroyed that argument in about 15 minutes, using my documented lucid moments at Meadowbrook as evidence that I'd been aware and competent all along. The judge wasn't amused. "Mrs. Henderson," she said, looking at my daughter over her glasses. You attempted to have your mother declared mentally incompetent based on fabricated evidence. You lied to medical professionals. You attempted to defraud your mother of millions of dollars. The only reason I'm not recommending criminal charges is because your mother has asked for leniency. Linda started to speak, but her lawyer stopped her. The power of attorney is revoked. The deed transfer is void. You are ordered to pay your mother's legal fees and court costs, and you are prohibited from any involvement in her financial or medical affairs. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor, Linda whispered. I sat in that courtroom and felt nothing. Not victory, not vindication. Just a deep, aching sadness for what could have been, should have been, if only my daughter had loved me more than she loved money. After the hearing, Linda approached me in the hallway. Michael started to step between us, but I touched his arm. Mom, Linda said. Her eyes were red. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never meant for it to go this far. It just spiraled. And I couldn't figure out how to stop. You could have stopped at any point, I said. You could have stopped before you lied to the doctor, before you drugged me, before you tried to steal my home. You had 1,000 chances to stop, Linda. I know. I was just... Brian lost his job last year. We're drowning in debt. The house seemed like the answer. So instead of asking me for help, you decided to destroy me. She flinched. Can you ever forgive me? I looked at my daughter, at this woman I'd raised, whose scraped knees I'd bandaged, whose tears I'd dried, whose triumphs I'd celebrated. I looked at her and saw a stranger. I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe someday, but not today. Today, I'm too tired, and you're too much of a reminder of everything I lost. Not the money, Linda. I lost my trust. I lost my sense of safety. I lost the daughter I thought I had. I walked away. Michael came with me. Linda stayed in that hallway, crying, and I didn't look back. I moved back into my house 3 weeks later. It felt different now, emptier, even though all my furniture was exactly where I'd left it. The rooms echoed. Every corner held a memory of before I knew what my daughter was capable of, before I understood how fragile family bonds could be. But slowly, the house started to feel like home again. I hired a companion, a wonderful woman named Marie who came 3 mornings a week to help with grocery shopping and heavy cleaning. Not because I couldn't do it myself, but because I'd learned that accepting help wasn't the same as being helpless. I joined a book club at the library, started volunteering at a literacy program, reconnected with old friends I'd lost touch with during the years after Thomas died, when I'd let grief and isolation narrow my world down to nothing. Michael visited once a month, brought his kids. We had dinner on the deck, the one Thomas built, and I told my grandchildren stories about their grandfather, made sure they knew where they came from. Linda sent letters. I didn't open them. Not out of spite, but because I wasn't ready. Maybe I would be someday, or maybe I wouldn't. I gave myself permission to not know. On a Sunday morning, 6 months after the court case, I sat on the deck with my coffee and looked at the garden Thomas and I had planted together. The roses were blooming. He'd loved roses. My phone rang, unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Mrs. Patterson? This is Stephanie, from the hospital. I hope it's okay that I called. Stephanie, of course. How are you? I'm good. I wanted to check on you. Make sure you were okay. I think about you sometimes. Wonder how everything turned out. I told her about the court case, the victory, the aftermath, about learning to live in my house again, to trust again, to find joy again. I'm so glad, she said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. You know what you did? It changed how I think about my patients. I pay more attention now. I listen more carefully. You taught me that. After we hung up, I sat there thinking about that, about how one moment of courage, one decision to fight back instead of accept defeat, could ripple outward in ways you never expected. I'd spent my whole career teaching literature, teaching kids about themes and metaphors and the hero's journey. I'd taught them about characters who faced impossible odds, who made hard choices, who grew and changed through adversity. I never thought I'd live one of those stories myself. The sun was warm on my face. The roses smelled like summer and memory and hope. I thought about Thomas, about what he'd said at the end. Don't let them take this from you. They didn't, my love, I thought. They tried, but I didn't let them. I finished my coffee and went inside. I had a literacy program meeting at noon, and I'd promised to bring cookies. Life, I'd discovered, was made up of small moments. Coffee on the deck, cookies for volunteers, phone calls from kind nurses, Sunday mornings that belonged to you and no one else. Not millions of dollars or big houses or perfect families, just the simple, profound freedom of waking up each day and knowing you fought for yourself, and you won.